Hey, what's up, guys? Mike Patrick, and in this video, I want to talk about why some people are very disappointed with their income tax. Okay? Why some people are very disappointed with their income tax situation. Alright, guys, this is one of those things where, see, when it comes to politics, right? Alright, generally, we're so distracted with stuff that doesn't really matter, okay? We're just being entertained throughout life most of the time for most people, okay? And most of us are not trying to really learn the ins and outs of things, okay? It takes a lot of attention, and especially depending on your demographic, depending on your background, it's hard to jump from, say, just being entertainment based, okay, to really trying to understand how things work. You know what I mean? So what happened with the whole tax situation, right? Okay, Donald Trump ran on one of his big campaign promises, or one of his big campaign things that he ran on was cutting taxes, okay? Now, for people who knows how things work, people get emotional, okay? People get emotional. So as a campaigner, you're going to feed into what would excite people, knowing that most people do not know the ins and outs. Most people are not surgical. Most people are not technical. They don't really understand how things work. So you can play on people's emotions, okay? So you're going to talk about, you're going to campaign, you're going to run on things that most people are going to be able to understand. That doesn't require them to do a whole lot of research, okay? All right, so what happened was he used the whole tax thing. Now, most people who consider themselves middle class, a lot of middle class people, or the people who consider themselves middle classes, are not necessarily the most intelligent people also. So they may make a certain amount of money and things like that, but they're pacified by that. So as long as they can be entertained, have certain things, they're good with that. And they're not really seeking knowledge and understanding, of how things work. And so what happened, the campaign MO was, cut taxes. Now you got people who thought they was making a lot of money, and what they don't realize is that you're not making that much money, okay, in comparison to the people who, the different tax bills or whatever, the way he altered taxes. You're not making the type of money that the people who really benefit from what he did are making, okay? And the changes that he made benefit the people with real money, okay? Not people who have false pride, a false sense of pride, who like to maybe look down on people who got less money than them, but really they don't have no money either. And so therefore, when the chicken came home to roost, I think that's the saying. The people who thought they was making a little money, who thought like Trump was for them, you know what I mean? This is a multi-billionaire. Then you talking about people who may be making $150,000, $200,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? And they think they're, also people also want to feel like they belong, so they think they're in there with Trump. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's working on behalf of them. You know what I'm saying? Money that he probably spend on bills. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, in a month. So that's what happened, guys. You didn't research the ins and outs of the things that he changed, and what ended up happening was, now I'm gonna get into how it happened to you, how you didn't get the tax return that you thought you was gonna get, or how you end up owing when for many years you got a tax return. You know what I mean? Or why you end up owing more when for many years you didn't owe that much, if you owe anything at all. It's because, okay, depending on your state, the taxes may be higher or lower in any given state. But what happened was, this is just a nutshell, way of looking at it all, and you can go do further research. And what happened is, the things he put into play, it took away a lot of the deductions that you could normally deduct. It took a lot of those away. Okay, so therefore you couldn't deduct as much. All right, and so therefore you don't get as much money back. Okay, now you may have saved a little bit, on your check. It may have created the illusion you may have got a little extra $20, $25, $30, $35, right, on your check. You thought you was winning, but at the end of the day, overall, the taxes that you owe, because I know people who done that. Like, that's why different jobs I've been at, I always want the most money taken out of my check, because I realize I'm not going to miss that money for real, man. Like, if I'm not making that much money in the first place and you taking $50, $60 out of my check, I'm not going to really miss that. You see what I'm saying? It's not that big of a difference, okay? Especially the way that even being, when I was much younger, when I first started working, even the type of mentality I had, like, I wasn't going to go out here, the more money I made, the more money I want to spend. So therefore, take that money out my check. You know what I mean? Take out my feds, take out my state, take it out at the maximum that you can take it out, right? You know what I mean? And then I prefer to get a nice lump sum at the beginning of the next year, get a nice income tax check. But you got people who don't do things like that. They think getting that little extra $20, $50, they think they're doing themselves some good, and then they end up owing money at the end of the year. And everything is an illusion. So while it may all be the same, at the end of the day, it's just the illusion of it. Like, at the illusionary aspect of it, I love to get a check, a nice handsome check, you know what I mean, at the beginning of the year to kickstart my year and things like that, as opposed to me getting a little extra $25, $35 on each paycheck that I really wouldn't miss whether I got it or not, right? All right, so that's what happened, guys. Your state tax, especially depending on what state you was in and stuff, those taxes still hiked up. They still didn't change. You know what I mean? And at the end of the year, and then you can't deduct the same things that you could in the past to get extra money. And now, you're starting to realize that. So just get a little bit more educated on things, as opposed to just going off of your emotions, okay? If I tell you I'm gonna cut taxes, well, you gotta know the ins and outs of that. You know what I mean? What does that really mean? You know what I mean? So now all that's happening is the gap between the middle class, between the rich and the poor, is becoming wider, and yeah. All right, guys, hopefully this was a helpful video. Peace.